guys, how are y'all doing? Welcome back to my channel, and today I have another video about what sugar is doing to our brains. Yes, I know for me, I used to love, candy, Little Debbie's. I was a sugar fiend, if you would like to call it that. I started researching the effects of sugar on our bodies, and what I started to find out really wasn't settling too well with me. So I decided I'd share it with you all, because I swear, if I get old and I have dementia, I'm already a little loony, so I don't know what might happen. So if you want to know what sugar is doing to your brain and how to prevent it, then just keep on watching. Let go. So the title of this is called What is Sugar Doing to Your Brain? Now I'm going to single out high fructose corn syrup, which is HFCS, because of the simple fact that that is the sweetener that they are using in food nowadays. They are not using necessarily sugar anymore. They have switched over to high fructose corn syrup. Now I do have another video where I talk about high fructose corn syrup, when did they switch over, why they switched over to it, and how you can start your weight loss program by eliminating high fructose corn syrup out of your diet. Now, I will have that linked in the description box below if you would like to go check that out. But let's get right into what sugar is doing to our brain. Obesity have increased dramatically over the past several years, and in parallel, so has the prevalence of type 2 diabetes. Numerous studies have demonstrated that both obesity and type 2 diabetes are associated with lower cognitive performance, cognitive decline, and dementia. But the question is, who is the little magical player that's in the background pulling all the strings? Yes, intake of dietary fructose, which is high fructose corn syrup, have also increased. So we're going to talk about the effects of obesity on cognitive performance and the impact of high fructose intake in promoting cognitive decline. So like I said in the other video that I will have linked below, high fructose corn syrup is the cause of obesity and dementia, or cognitive decline, whichever one you want to call it. So now I'm going to talk about the studies. I have 3 of them. I have 2 clinical, which is just clinical, just means the study was done on humans, and I have 1 non-clinical, which the study was done on animals, and in this case, it was rats. The first study that you see here is the Swedish adoption twin study of aging. The BMI and cognitive decline was examined among participants with an average age of 42. BMI and global cognitive ability were measured over a 20-year period, beginning at age 25. And see, I like this study because it is a 20-year period. You know that I like studies that cover a wide range, because to me, I feel like those studies bring you the absolute best results. It's not like they did it for a week and then trying to, say, well, this is 100% correct. No, they did this for 20 years. The results were early midlife obesity was associated with a steeper decline in general cognitive ability and perceptual speed, with a tendency for a steeper decline in verbal and spatial abilities. Perceptual speed just refers to the ability to correctly and completely compare letters, numbers, objects, pictures, or patterns. So none of these tests were super hard. It's not like they had you doing trigonometry or calculus or anything like that. It was simple tests that were performed. Moreover, being stably obese over a long period of time was associated with lower cognitive function in late life. When obesity developed in late life, there was a steeper decline in only verbal ability. So since verbal ability remains stable over an adult's lifespan until you're old, this can be seen as evidence that obesity is associated with cognitive decline. And what causes obesity? Your high fructose corn syrup. It's all a little trickle down effect. And so this next clinical test was the Whitehall 2 cohort. And here, this doctor determined the association of BMI and metabolic status with cognition. The tests used were reasoning, short-term memory, and 2 measures of verbal fluency. So again, her tests were not hard. Tests are simple. Everybody should be able to pass them. Her results indicated that at baseline, obese individuals had lower cognitive scores than normal weight individuals. Moreover, the baseline differences were maintained over the 10-year follow-up. And here's the reason why I picked this study, because she did hers for 10 years. So the first one was done for 20, hers was for 10. And she stayed with and followed these people for 10 years. And their cognitive scores stayed the same over those whole 10 years. Then here we have Stranahan and Ross. This was the animal study. So results from the animal study suggest that fructose intake may be associated with cognitive decline. So Stranahan found that rats fed a high-fat, high-glucose diet and given access to high-fructose corn syrup displayed significantly impaired cognitive function, possibly via the development of insulin resistance. Ross reported that a high-fructose diet impairs spatial memory in male rats. And spatial memory is just a catch-all phrase. It's used to refer to memory for spatial information, such as geographical layout of your hometown or the interior of a friend's house. That's all spatial memory is. Location. For example, like when you go into the mall and you get lost in the mall, that's your spatial memory at work there. So their study showed that consuming a high fructose diet for almost 5 months increased the time to reach the target and decreased time spent in the target quadrant and the number of targets approaches in spatial water maze probe test. So basically the rats couldn't find their way. It's basically what's going on. They could not find their way due to their spatial memory being breached. High fructose intake did not influence navigational ability. So they still could navigate, which, like, prime example, if you're in the mall, you still can navigate, you still can move around. You have no clue where you're going, but you can move around. So in addition, the rats were able to learn and retain the location of the platform for short periods of time. Only impairments on the retention test were recorded associated with high fructose intake, which suggests that consumption of such a diet may impair long-term memory storage or retrieval or both. So now that we have all this information under our belt, what can we do about it? This paper also considers the effects of omega-3 fatty acids, also known as fish oil, which have been linked to promising results in cognitive function, including ameliorating or make better the impact of a high fructose diet. In rodents, dietary omega-3 fatty acid deficiency was associated with a decline in spatial memory in portions to the intensity of insulin resistant, which just means you have diabetes, which was further aggravated by a high fructose intake. There was no difference in body weight or total calorie intake. Therefore, obesity did not appear to be a major contributor to altered memory function in this model. So even though the high fructose is making you obese, obesity itself, because you know there is more than one way to gain weight. There's more than one way. So obesity did not appear to be just the major contributor. So that is telling you that the major contributor is high fructose corn syrup. Based on this data, it appears that omega-3 fatty acid deficiency increases the vulnerability to the effects of high fructose. Omega-3 fatty acids, you have EPA and DHA, are diet-dependent factors critical to normal brain development and function that have been shown to exert beneficial effects on cognition. DHA, the principal omega-3 fatty acid in the brain, has effects on the neural membrane activity, which modulates cell signaling. So in humans and rats, DHA concentration in the brain decreases with age. So in return, supplementation with omega-3 fatty acids can counteract the effects of a high fructose diet on the memory. So there you go. If you want to knock out dementia, a decreased cognitive function, take you some fish oil. But the catcher is you have to pick the fish oil, the omega-3 fatty acids that say EPA and DHA. Now, the products that I'm showing in the pictures, you don't necessarily have to pick those, but now you know what to pick, and you can pick the brand you want from there. And here is my list of references. I will have those down in the description box if you want to take a further look into these papers. As you've seen in the previous clip before this, basically sugar is dumbing us down. So sugar is decreasing our cognitive ability. It is causing dementia. And as you've seen in the video, it was Alzheimer's, but dementia and all of that goes together. Sugar, especially high fructose corn syrup, because now they're getting rid of the sugar and putting high fructose corn syrup as sweetener instead of the sugar. So the high fructose corn syrup is leading to obesity, which technically towards the end of the paper they kind of figured out that obesity is not the primary cause of it, but I mean it still is one of the factors that you have. So from high fructose corn syrup. So high fructose corn syrup leads to obesity, leads to type 2 diabetes, which leads to decreased cognitive function, which is something we don't want. And one way for you to treat that and prevent that is, number one, get rid of high fructose corn syrup. Don't eat it. There's plenty of foods in the store that if you look through the ingredients, you'll see just still normal sugar on it, where there's no high fructose corn syrup. But I've seen anything from bread on up with high fructose corn syrup in it. And I just avoid it like it's a plague, literally. So, yes, and another thing that I wanted to say is, don't be scared of the sugar that is in the fruit. That's the sugar that you want. You want that type of sugar. Don't steer away from that, because that's the sugar that you want. So, eat plenty of fruits with sugar like there's no tomorrow. That's the good sugar. And if you're in the store and it's something that you gotta have, look for sugar in the ingredients instead of high fructose corn syrup. That'll knock it out. That's a way to prevent it. And then also another whammy, extra layer of security is your omega-3 fatty acids. And make sure when you're going to the store to purchase omega-3 fatty acids, you are getting the one that says EPA plus DHA. You need both of those inside your fish oil capsules if you want to go that route. So, of course, me, what I'm doing it all. I do it all. I cut high fructose corn syrup out of my diet, and I'm doing the omega-3. And if I'm not taking omega-3, I'm getting it from my avocados, my fish, certain type of nuts. I mean, there is no reason we should be going through all this. And I wonder, did y'all notice in that one picture, I don't even know if I put it up, but how your brain looks when you have dementia? It just looks like your brain is starved out. It looks like it has been starved of proper nutrients. And I'm gonna put this picture here. Look at this. Doesn't it look like your brain is just being starved out? So that goes back to show nutrient deficiency again. Your DHA decreases as you get older anyhow. So then when you're adding high fructose corn syrup, it just kicks it into overdrive. That's why we are having more and more elders going into the hospital with dementia, having to going to nursing homes and all that. It's bad. And it needs to stop. It needs to stop. So, protect yourself, protect your family, protect your loved ones. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, leave them in the comment section below. In the description box, I will have all links to the prior video I was talking about. I will have all the references in the description box if you want to, you know, dig down further into those. But I pretty much brought you the information that is needed. Everything else I scratched and threw it away. Not needed. We get the point. But until next time, guys, peace, love, and happy thoughts. Bye.